WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, tasting often rare and exotic whiskeys. And today I have something from the History Channel of Bourbon, 1792 Sweet Wheat Bourbon. So this was actually released in July of 2015. Wow, the bourbon world 7 years ago was so much more easier. All right, so we did not have all these craft distillers out there. We did not have the new guys and so on. To be very, very honest, I don't even think we had Angel's Envy back then, did we? So when was the first time that we had Angel's Envy? That is a good question here. So I'm sure you know this better than I do. Shows that I'm just searching as we talk. So the first Angel, oh, looky there. The first one I can find is 2012. So we had the cast strength 2012, then 2013, 14, 15. So that was the time where we were just getting into our nice little realm of finished bourbons. That was before the time that everyone was finishing everything. And so what they were doing was where they were actually just working on mash bills a little bit. And as we probably know, we have here, for example, my comparison whiskey today is going to be this. We had the nice little Maker's Mark with its wheater, the wheated bourbon. So we have 70% corn, we have 18% wheat, and we have 12% malted barley. Did I get that right? 16% wheat and 14% malted barley. Okay, I was trying to do it from my memory here. So we have some interesting wheated whiskeys out there in the world. Yeah, we have our Pappy Van Winkle. We have our W.L. Weller. We have our Maker's Marks. We have our Old Fitzgerald with basically Weller. So Buffalo Trace today. We have Larceny. Forgot about those almost. We have Heaven Hill. And we have Rebel. I can't say Rebel Yell anymore, just Rebel, which was made by Heaven Hill, which is now made by Lexco. And we have a lot of craft distillers. So one of my favorite ones would be Wilderness Trail with the wheated bourbon in there. So we have 24% wheat instead of the 24% rye that we normally have. Beautiful, beautiful bottle. Now, if I were to talk about the history of 1792, I would be here for a while. We have the Whiskey University, for example, online. They talk about everything that was going on, all the way from John Graves Mateling and all the way up to Thomas More, who's an important person there. So what we basically focus on is that 2009, Sazerac from New Orleans. They also bought Buffalo Trace. They also bought Barton's. They came in here and they bought the distillery. Now, way back when, it originally was called not 1792. It was called Ridgewood Reserve 1792. Wine 1792, Kentucky founding date. And Brown-Forman sued because they found Ridgewood Reserve sounds a little bit like Woodford Reserve. I'm not sure about that, but that's the way it is. So they changed it to Richmond Reserve, and then at the end they just got rid of it. 1792, beautiful bottle, beautiful name, and so on. I read someplace that they have a total of up to 8 different mash bills. Not sure about that one. But they did have a high rye, which I'm going to do next. They have the sweet wheat. They have the normal. They have rye. They have a lot of different things that they've been doing there. And if you can find a independently bottled bourbon that is more than 6 years of age, it probably comes from Barton's. Barton has done a lot of contract distilling and a lot for independent barrels that were out on the market. MGP did more, yes, but if it's a Kentucky straight bourbon, you don't know where it came from, and it's older than 6 years of age, the chances of it being a Barton's are pretty high. Now, the first time I was at Barton's Distillery was 2017, did the tour, loved it. In the meanwhile, there was a little bit of an accident there cooker overflowed, maybe a little bit of a mechanical middle fatigue mistake, or some type of incident happened there. And when I was there in 2022 in June, I was there on the very, very last day of the distillery gift shop being opened. I had been before that at a different distillery, and the guy said, "Hey, Jason, today's the last day. If you go there, you get one of these special single barrels for like $65. It's amazing, cask strength. Go for it." And so he had been there at 10, whatever. So he had the information at the beginning. It was now 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I went, drove there, parked, walked down the street. It's amazing the amount of trucks, lorries that just go back and forth around that road. I parked, went into the gift shop, and they said, "Oh, sorry, honey, we've been sold out since 11. So they were started 9 to 11. They were sold out, and I was there at 2. So didn't happen. But I did try to express my condolences for them losing their jobs or not being open anymore, the gift shop. But to be very honest, that is the distillery for the tours and the guests did not feel like the place where health and safety was the utmost importance. Let's say that. It was not built as a visitor distillery, and it would have cost too much money and too much of a disruption to actually make it a visitor distillery. And therefore, I personally do not think it's a bad idea. Send everyone over to Buffalo Trace. Come on. They are one of the most fantastic places for tours anyways. All right, good. So on the nose, this sweet wheat is lovely. I would not have guessed alone just with the nose that this is a wheated bourbon. I get a lot of the caramel. I get a lot of a little bit of wood notes, black cherry, vanilla, or I got a little bit of orange peel even in here. Some spices, a little bit of nutmeg. It's good. And the question is, why 45.6%? I would love to say that this was non-chilled filtered. Don't know. Couldn't find anything in the press release. Even the website from 1792bourbon.com/sweet-wheat is how can I put this politely? Dated? It looks like something someone would have created in 2010. All right, so crafted with sweet and delicate wheat instead of the more traditional rye, this bourbon is quite distinctive from most. The soft wheat delivers a subtle and smooth taste with gentle layers of flavor. Each sip expresses a harmony of sweetness and dryness. And the tasting notes are: a well-balanced bourbon with delicate body, notes of vanilla and caramel are complemented by a touch of white oak tannins. This is further mingled with dry fruit to deliver a richly smooth flavor. So, they mention those tannins a lot. So, wood oak tannins. So, the dryness is here. So this was one of the whiskeys that were kind of like, okay, it might have been up a little bit higher in the rickhouse, and it might have aged a little bit quicker, and that woody tannin, the woodiness, the wood flavors, that tannin, those tannins might have actually influenced this whiskey a tad too much. Who knows? The first one that came out back then in 2014, it might have been 15 in the beginning, was a port finished. Then we had the sweet wheat, and then we had the high rye. Today we can still get the foolproof 1792, even over here in Germany. All right. Now then, Maker's Mark 45 red. They're all red. It's not my favorite. If I'm going to buy something from Maker's Mark that I can get over here, I can still get some of the old bottles. That's what I'm going to go for. All the other new wood finish experiences and the private selects are kind of rare and almost impossible to get here. Sometimes they're even asking for 150 to 200 euros for a bottle of bourbon from Maker's Mark. Just outside of my comprehension zone, to be honest. All right, so let's taste. I like the nose. B-. There's a little bit of sweetness, but there is a lot of dry wood moment going on here. There might be a little bit of a pine moment that I'm getting. I'm not a wheated whiskey fan. You can give me a Pappy, you can give me a Weller, you can give me I dislike a Larceny with a passion almost. You can give me the Maker's Mark, not really into it. Wilderness Trail, my least favorite of the Wilderness Trails. Now I do know that the Wilderness Trails wheated are some of the most sought after whiskeys from Wilderness Trail ever. I guess my palate is sometimes not so mainstream. It's a little bit special. So just like my mom used to tell me, I'm special. All right, so 45.6, 45%. This feels watered down. This feels thinner. This has a more of that pine pitch moment towards the end. I like my rye in my bourbon. So this is on the nose a B-. On the taste, it's a solid C. Original recommended price was $35. Hey, C to C-, C to C+. If you can find it for $35 7 years later, go for it. Online, Whiskybase, they're asking for prices between $140 and I think, which is really a little bit, is $249. Yeah. No. This is not one of the blasts from the past that you have to try. Now, I'm sure many of the people that have been around bourbon a longer time than I have, they actually were able to try it. This is when my whiskey channel started. I started in 2016. Yeah, 6 years ago when I was just absolutely ignorant of what whiskeys were. Now I'm teaching about bourbons and about whiskeys, and I'm helping to inform and educate the people over here in Europe and Germany, especially about the good old bourbons we have there, and all the new brands, and all the new products, and all the new things we can learn about. This was an interesting experiment, but that's what it was. Don't go out and don't go looking for this bourbon, and try something else. Try a Wilderness Trail wheated. Try a Larceny. Try a Maker's Mark. Try to find a Weller. If you really want to try something, go for a Pappy. Even in Germany, I was at a whiskey fair. I had my stand. I had my 150 different bourbons there and so on. And someone came up to me and actually in English said, "You have any Pappy?" And I almost wanted to slap him in the face. And he just looked at me and said, "Yeah, I'm just pulling the strings here. I'm just trying to make you be a little irritated." I said, "Wow. Now I can feel what those what those poor," that was the word I was going to use, "those poor whiskey shop employees have to endure all day long." All right, Whiskey Jason here. What is your favorite wheated whiskey? Write it down in the comments. It would interest me a lot. Thank you very much for staying along for my rant at the end. Wish you all the best. See you soon. Whiskey Jason here. Bye-bye.